317. So everybody open up on this page. You can see our goals again. A lot of focus on unit rates today. We're going to start just by going with rates in general. How do we solve rates? So we want you to determine the unknown quantity in each proportion. Basically, tell me what the question mark is for each of these problems. You only have 4 problems, so we'll give you guys about 4 minutes. Go ahead and get started. Okay, so as part of going a little more quickly to make sure we get as much covered as we can, let's go ahead and get through this one. On our first one, how did I go from 18 to 162? Yes?
I multiply by 9 because I already knew times 10 equals 180. Then 180 minus 18 is 160.
Awesome. I love your thinking all the way around on that one. Good job. So what am I going to do to the 3? We do understand that at this point, right? Whatever I do on the top, I need to do on the bottom. Okay? So really the big key here is figuring out which side or which area I've got 2 numbers, top or bottom. How do I go from 3 to 1?
Divide by 3.
Divide by 3. So what am I doing to the 18? Dividing by 3. That's going to give me 6 arrows. Okay? How do I go from 80 to 1,600? Times 20. So what am I doing to 8? Times 20 gives me 160 shoes. How do I go from 8 to 1? Divide by 8. So what am I going to do to the 80? Gives me 10 socks. Guys, this should be common, second nature to you by this point. We haven't changed this all year. Is everybody okay with this? Okay? Keep this in mind. There's only one thing that we're going to really be changing today. Let's go ahead and go to our next page. So we're on page 318. We're going to work this first one together to help you guys understand the concept, okay? Marta and Brad would go to the store to buy some laundry detergent for a neighbor. They see that the brand you want comes in 2 different sizes. So I've got a 26 fluid ounce and a 20 and 5/10 fluid ounce. Which size should they buy? There's our question. So if I'm going to determine which size I would buy, what do you think I'm looking for?
The unit rate for a dollar for how much fluid ounces per.
Okay, and then am I going to want the one that gets more fluid ounces or less fluid ounces per dollar?
More fluid ounces per dollar.
Does everybody understand that? It's giving me more for the same amount of money, right? So every one of these is going to start the same, though. I start with the rate that they've given me. So I'm going to start at 26 fluid ounces and $9.75. But as we were just saying, I want to know how much can I get for $1. Does that make sense? You're writing this down, Lucas. So, again, we always go with the part that I already have the information on. Do I have information across from 26? No, but I do here, right? How do I go from 975 down to 1? Divide by 9.75. Okay? Does everybody understand that? Does everybody have it written down in your book? Because I see several of you, your pencils have not moved. So that means all we now need to do is the math. So I'm going to take 26 and divide by 9 75/100. Can I divide by a decimal? No, I have to move it. So I move it twice here, meaning I also have to move it twice here. Empty buckets get zeros. I can't divide by a decimal. Okay? So now I'm just dividing 2,600 by 975. Well, 975 is about 1,000, right? So how many, will 1,000 go into 2? Nope. We'll go to 26? Nope. We'll go to 260? Nope. How many times do you think it'll go to 2,600?
Twice.
Twice is a good guess, so let's check it. So multiply it by 2, we get 10, 15, 18, 19. So I subtract 1,950. I get 0, 5, 6. 650 is less than 975, so our guess was good. Am I at 0 yet? Nope. So I'm going to add a decimal, bring it up into my answer, bring down another 0. So how many times is 975 going to go into 6,500? So again, it's about 1,000. 1,000 to 6,000 is going to go 6. So let's try that. 975 times 6 gives us 30, 42, 45, 54, 58. So minus 5,850. We get 0, 5, 6. Anybody notice something?
Is that repetition? Yeah.
It's repeating. So I can now just put a bar over this. So this is going to give us about 2 6/10 fluid ounces repeating. Everybody tracking so far? Who's not? Which part aren't you getting, Lucas? We're setting up at what's called a proportion. So they're giving me one rate. I'm switching it to another one. So how would I set this one up as my proportion?
20.5 ounces over 7.25.
Is there anyone who doesn't understand this part? Literally all you're doing is taking the numbers and putting them in a fraction, guys. And every problem is going to go just like this. I'm going to do this, guys. Every problem is going to start just like this, just like we basically have for the last month and a half. And it's helpful if you add in your units as well, because this is going to help you figure out what I'm doing. As we said, we're going for a unit price, so I want to know how much I get for a dollar, correct? So I'm going to again put $1 here. How do I go from 7.25 down to 1? Divide by 7.25. So guess what I'm doing on the top? That's all it is. So I take 20 5/10, divide by 7 25 hundredths. Again, I can't divide by a decimal, so I'm going to move my decimal twice, add in my 0. 725 will not go to 2, won't go into 20, won't go into 205. So 725 going into 2,050. I know it's going to be less than 3, because 3 times 7 will give me 2,100. So it's going to be another 2. Times 2 gives us 10, 15, 5, 1,450. Gives us 0, 0, 6. So that's going to, not at 0 yet, so I'm going to add my decimal and bring it up. Add in another 0. So 6,000, that's now going to go 8 times. So 725 times 8 gives us 40, 16, 20, 56, 58. So subtract 5,800. I'm not at 0 yet, but I've got 2 8/10 and 2 6/10. Do I need to go any further to know which one I'm getting a better deal on? No. So I can add this. Which one should he buy? The one where I get 2.6 fluid ounces or 2.8 fluid ounces? 2.8. Now, quick question. Could I have done this other way? Could I have figured out how much 1 fluid ounce costs? That's actually a separate question, but one I really like, and one where you get into value. But when we're talking simply about price, price is actually very specific. Our better price is on the smaller one. So the better price is the 20 5/10 ounce bottle. Technically, it's fluid ounces. Does everybody understand why and how we got there? Any questions on it? Because this is basically what we're going to be doing the rest of the class period. Okay, so let's turn our page real quick. Oh, you don't have to turn. Yours is right next to it. Oh, I didn't erase this one. Okay, that's okay. We need your highlighters. We have a definition here for you. So, as you learned previously, a rate is a ratio comparing two quantities measured in different units. A unit rate, which is our new definition, is a comparison of two measurements in which the numerator or denominator has a value of 1 unit. So that's really all we're doing differently now is instead of going kind of to random numbers, we're always going to turn one of them into a 1, which is kind of nice because that means I'm dividing by whatever the other number is. Okay? So it's going to make it easier to do. Brad and Martha and Brad decided to choose the smaller bottle of detergent as a better buy, but for different reasons. Marta estimated unit rates for the two detergents this way. She said the larger bottle is about 25 fluid ounces for about $10. So she did some rounding to make the math easier for her. Setting it up, she said $10 for 25 gave me 40 cents for 1 fluid ounce. So 1 fluid ounce costs about 40 cents on the larger bottle. On the smaller one, she again rounded. She said it's about 21 fluid ounces for $7. Going from 21, 7 divided by 21 gave her 33 cents. So she said each fluid ounce costs about 33 cents. That means you pay less for each fluid ounce of the smaller bottle of detergent, so it's a better buy. Does that make sense to everybody? Yes. If I pay less, that's a better buy, correct? Okay? So what she did was she focused and she made the unit rate on the fluid ounces. So how much was she paying for each fluid ounce? If we turn the page, we can see Brad's reasoning. Brad went about it a little differently. He actually did what we did, except instead of doing the numbers exactly as they were, he again rounded. So he said 25 fluid ounces for $10 gives you about 2 5/10 fluid ounces per dollar. So the smaller one, for 21, it went down to 3, so you get about 3 fluid ounces for $1. Is it better to get 2.5 fluid ounces for $1 or 3 fluid ounces for $1? 3. So he said the smaller bottle was the better buy. So did they actually come to the same conclusion? Yes. So did it matter if I made the unit rate the dollars or the fluid ounces? No. As long as you do your math correctly, it doesn't matter which one you choose. What does matter is your reasoning. You do have to think about it a little differently because it's not always the biggest number. It's what is a better value. And you have to think about what the value is. Is everybody okay with that? Okay. So we're going to skip those two because we actually just kind of talked about it already. And we're going to get some practice. So let's go to page 321. On this one, you'll notice we've only done A and B for each of these, not C and D. So you can cross C and D out for each of these two pages because this is part of us doing less problems but getting through as much of the lesson as we can. On both questions, we're only doing A and B. Okay? So each situation relates a quantity and a price. Calculate the 2 different unit rates associated with each situation. Price per item and number of items per dollar. So we're going to do each of these in 2 ways. I'm going to show you the initial setup to give you an example on how to go with them. Oh, yeah. And we're also going to change this. We're going to make that $26 instead of $25.95 to make the math a little easier for you. So what they're saying to find 2 different unit rates, one of the ironies on this is it's going to look exactly the same at the start. So it's going to say 250 vitamins over $12.50 equals, and I'm going to say 250 vitamins over $12.50 equals, and I'm just going to start with my outline, guys. Oh, where? Vitamins and dollars. What they're saying is, I want one in the price per item. In other words, what does it cost me for one vitamin? And the other one, I want the number of items per dollar, so I want $1. So what changes? The only thing that changes is what I'm dividing by. How do I go from 250 to 1? Divide by 250. So what am I going to do to the $12.50? Divide it by 250. How do I go from $12.50 to 1? Divide by 1250. So what am I going to do to the 250 on the top on this one? Divide by 1250. So we'll leave the actual math for you to work out on that. But you can see we have 4 problems that each require 2 setups because you're finding the price per item and how many you get per dollar. You're doing that for all 4 of these, or that similar thing. The bottoms be a little bit different. We'll give you guys about 7 minutes to go ahead and do this. So set them up and go ahead and solve them. Go ahead and go. Here. This really is not that difficult, guys. I mean, especially we set this first one up for you, and I've got over half of you didn't even finish number 1. And we gave you almost 10 minutes instead of 7. It's literally right here. I'm taking 1250 and I'm dividing by 250. Can I divide a decimal on the inside? Yes, doesn't matter. So will 250 go into 1? No. We'll go into 12. My decimal comes straight up. We'll go into 125. Once I get to 1250, now I've got a number at work. So I can multiply by 5. 0, 25, 10, 12. Subtract 1250. That's where it ends up. So what is it? It is 5 cents per vitamin. Now I do the math on the second one. Now I'm taking 250 and I'm dividing it by $12.50. Can I divide by a decimal? No, I cannot. So I have to move it twice to get rid of it, meaning I need to add 2 decimals on here. So I add 2 zeros to move my decimal place twice. I go through the same process. Will 1250 go into 2? Nope. 25? Nope. 250? Nope. 2,500? Yes, that it goes twice. And it goes exactly, so I end up with a 0. I still have a 0 I need to account for, though, don't I? Yes. So I have to put that in there. 1250 goes 0 times into 0. Now is where I finally have my decimal. So what do I get? 20 vitamins for $1. Guys, it should be this simple. This is not difficult. We've literally been doing this for at least the last month and a half. Our next one, we've got 40 batteries. And we changed the numbers to make them easier for you. $26. So it's going to go just like this. And dollars, I'm doing it twice, so I can go ahead and set those up immediately. Over $26. When I include my units, it should make this easier. So I want to know what it is for 1 battery, and I want to know what it is for $1. How do I go 40 down to 1? Divide by 40. So what am I doing to 26? Dividing by 40. So literally, I'm doing 26 divided by 40. We'll go into 26. Add a decimal, goes into 260 about 6 times. Subtract 240 gives me 20. Not at 0 yet, so I'll add another 0. That's going to go 5 times. Subtract 200. So that's going to cost me about 65 cents. How do I go from 26 to 1? Divide by 26. So what am I doing to 40? Dividing by 26. 40 divided by 26. It will go once. Subtract 26 gives me 14. I'm not at 0, so I'm going to add a decimal and a 0. goes into 140. That's going to be 5 times. Gives me 130. So that's 10. So it goes down to 100. That's going to be about 4 times. So I know I'm getting about 1 in 5400ths batteries. Question on our first two. Okay? Because the bell's about to ring, I'm going to work out the other two, but you guys, we'll finish them after lunch. Okay, the class is gone, but I'm going to finish talking through this. So again, our basic setup, it doesn't matter what the units are. We're still going to just write them out the same. Again, the big deal is in unit rates. I'm just making either the numerator or the denominator 1. So in my setups, all I'm going to do is change one top to 1 and one bottom to 1. Then I just go 5 to 1 divided by 5, divide by 5. So I take 12 divided by 5, goes 2, add a 0, bring my decimal up, goes 20, so that's 4, so minus 20. Sorry, at home that didn't look so good. I'll rewrite it. Yes? So I told them I'd have it done by the time they get here. So that's 2 and 4/10 tomatillos. And then 12 to 1, I'm just dividing by 12. So 5 divided by 12. It's not going to go into 5, but it goes into 50 about 4 times. 48 gives me a 2. Still not a 0. Bring down another one. 20, it's going to go once. Gives me an 8. Going into 80. So that's about as far as we're going to go. So we're getting just over 4/10 of a goat for each one. Then I guess I'll wait and finish the last one with the class. Okay, we got everyone back, so let's go through part 2. So again, our setup is the same. It's $10, 9 euros. Someone asked what the euro sign is. That's actually what the symbol is for euros. So I want to know dollar euro. And we do the exact same, $10, 9 euro. All I'm changing is where I'm putting the 1. 1 is going to be on the dollars, 1 is going to be on the euro. So how do I go from 10 to 9? Divide by 10. Divide 9 by 10. That's easy because I'm just moving my decimal once. Going 9 to 1, I'm dividing by 9. 10. I now need to divide 10 by 9. 10 divided by 9, it's going to go once. Gives me a 1. So you should automatically see I'm in a repeating situation. That's all the work you had to do on those. That should have been relatively simple, guys. Here is your key concept. Unit rate just means I'm turning either the numerator or denominator to 1. One's either going to be here or here. This should be the easiest thing we're doing because literally all that means is I'm dividing by whatever is opposite from my 1. But it is critical that you set it up properly. If you don't set it up properly, you're going to be dividing by the wrong thing. You have to know what it is you're taking to 1. Writing down your units in your proportions as you're setting up your problem should make this very simple for you all the way across. This is what 90% of your homework is for tonight. So make sure you understand how to do these. Okay? Let's go ahead and go to the next page. We're on 322. When solving a unit rate problem, the question often asks for which unit rate is needed. So that's going to be a big key for you. If you don't want to have to do both unit rates every problem, pay attention to the question. So, for example, how many tomatillos did each goat eat? If I go back, what did it show? How many tomatillos when it was one goat? 2.4. How about how many euros did each US dollar worth? Okay? How do I know? I go to the one where it's $1 US. So the question is going to tell you which one I'm turning to 1, whether it's the numerator or denominator. Look for what it's asking for the each of. That's going to be my 1. Okay? So a really easy way to think about it. Each equals 1. If you understand your question, that should make these very easy for you to solve. So you don't have to do all the work for both of them. Focus in on the one that I need to get to 1. Everybody good on that page? Okay, let's go to 323. We're only going to do a few of these. So use the given rates to solve each problem. Compare the prices for various sizes of popcorn sold at the local movie theater. What is the unit rate price per ounce for each bag of popcorn? So which one do I need to get to 1? The price or the bags? The bags, or the ounces, okay? So what I need to do is take it, and I'm going to set them up. We're actually going to just make you do 2 of them. We'll do the giant bag and the kids bag, because those numbers are going to work the best. So do the math. Tell me which one is going to give the best unit rate per ounce. Okay? So setting them up the same, make your comparison, and then which size popcorn is the best buy, and explain your reasoning. We'll give you guys about 3 minutes to do these. Go. So these are set up just the way we've been doing it, guys. We always start with what went first. So what's first? 24 ounces. Guess what goes on top? 24 ounces. What's second? $6. So what goes second? $6. Here's your key. What am I trying to find? Per ounce. So I know that this is my 1. Correct? How do I go? 24 to 1. Divide by 24. So guess what I'm doing to 6? Dividing by 24. So I just do the math. 6 divided by 24. It won't go into 6. I bring my decimal straight up. It's going to go twice into 60. 48 gives me 12. Not at 0, so let's bring down another 0. It's going to go 5 times. So that's 25 cents per ounce. My other one, it sets up exactly the same. 8 ounces, $2.40. And I know I'm going to 1 ounce. I just need to know how many dollars. 8 to 1, I'm dividing by 8. So what am I doing to 240? Dividing by 8. So I take $2.40, divide by 8. Does it matter if I have a decimal on the inside? No. I'm just going through the math. 8 won't go into 2. Bring up my decimal. It goes into 24 3 times. 24, that's a 0. I have another 0, so I do need to account for it. And that's going to be a 0. So this one was 30 cents. So, which is the bigger, which is their better buy? Why? Does that make sense, guys? So I'm even going to go a step further and say it's better by 5 cents per ounce. Yes? Okay, be careful of shortcuts. Make sure you've set up the problem properly. And then once you notice those connections, that's fine. But you've got to have the connections and understand it.
He's trying to explain this to you, and half of you are talking. Stop.
Ironically, it's the half that did not do so well last quarter. I don't know. How'd you do? Okay. We're going to skip this one. Let's go to the next page. Guys, quiet down. This is the last one we're going to do for today. We're down to about 8 minutes.
Wait minutes.
Huh? No. Guys, quiet down. So all we're doing is comparing our gas mileage for these 3 cars. So change each rate to a unit rate so it reports miles per 1 gallon of gas. So it's telling you which one needs to go to 1, right? Here's your numbers right up here. All of those will work out relatively well. So if you set them up properly, This should take you all of about 2 minutes. I'll give you 3. Go. So these are all, should be relatively simple. So Avlar, 480 miles, 10 gallons. They told you I want to know the 1 gallon. So how do I go 10 to 1? Divide by 10. Dividing any number by 10 should be easy. I'm literally just moving my decimal once. 48 miles. Centaur, 400 miles and 8 gallons. Miles, gallons. Again, I know I want to get to 1. How do I go 8 to 1? Divide by 8. Divide 400 by 8. 400 divided by 8 is going to go 5. And I have to account for that second 0. So that's going to be 50 miles. And then the Comstar, 360 miles and 9 gallons. I know miles and gallons. Again, I want it 1 gallon. 9 to 1 is going to be divided by 9. Divided by 9 is going to give me 40. Okay? So, which one was best? 40, 48, or 51? Or 50? 50. So Centaur gave the best. Okay? Now, let's go ahead and go to our homework. Page 329. Please be quiet. I'm going to try to help you, but I can't do that if you're all talking. Gavin, stop. Okay. Write a unit rate for each situation. Does it say which one has to go to 1? No. But set them up the same, guys. 254 words. 4 minutes. Everything should look just like this to start. So now you have a choice. Do I want to divide by 4 or 254? I would go by 4, so I would make that the one, but it's your choice. It doesn't say which one you have to do. You're doing the exact same thing for every one of those first 6. Second one. No. Shauna, she needs 13 pounds. At one market, she finds selling for $1.89 a pound. At another, she finds a 15-pound bag for $26.99. Which market has the better deal? So, does this really matter? No, it doesn't. They just want the unit rate for each one. This one's really nice because they gave it to you. So really all you have to do is the 15-pound bag. Dylan, he's going to buy a new contact. You get 8 lens for in packs of 2 for 52, 10 lens packs of 4 for 120. Which option's the better deal? Those you're going to have to break them down to 1. Last page of your homework. Pets R Us, they sell a 20-pound bag for $16.95. They claim to have the best price. They are selling a 30-pound bag for $24.95, which has a valid claim. So you have to figure it out and answer the question that was asked. His last race, he biked 43 kilometers in 2 hours. If he maintains the same speed, how far will he travel in 3 hours? So basically you bring it back to 1 and then go back to 3. Last part, complete the tables. They basically have given you the top part. All you're doing is going from the entry they give you to all of the other ones. In any way you want to, just show your work. So all of these, you have to focus where they give you to, and then where you're going to. I'll give you a hint. If you always go back to 1, it's going to make the rest easy. Questions on your homework? Okay, so you've got those 2 pages. We'll be checking them next class on Wednesday.